Hi everybody, welcome back to Flames Pyro Art for Beginners, and today we're going to be starting our horse wood burning project. I've got the image up here digitally so we can have a little look at the image first and have a brief chat about it. As we can see, we've got lots of opportunities to create some wonderful depth with this piece. We've got there's no heat in this pen at the minute. We've got great opportunities around the stomach of the horse and his back leg. You know, we can set that back. He's got a wonderful pose with the legs and some shading, highlights to his beautiful coat. And then we've got his lovely mane that curls over and goes over his face. So it's a really cool image to see if we can get some great detail and bulk and volume with the pyrography art. Now, one little thing I will mention, when you're looking at creating, say, a realistic piece of pyrography, you know, as detailed as you're willing to go, you have to be prepared that this sort of process will not take you just like, say, a day or two. You know, you could be looking at maybe a week, 2 weeks, if you really wanted to get yourself deeply involved in creating a wonderful, detailed, you know, depth piece of art. So that's what I'm going to try and achieve with this piece. I've done one horse's face before and I really enjoyed it, and I've done like a Pegasus half man half horse burn in the past, which was really good fun. So I've picked this image as we've got his legs trotting and we've got a beautiful bit of tail to the image. So what I always do when I start a new piece of pyrography is you need to have time to let this image absorb into your creative mind. So when you're starting out with your wood burning of the piece, I'd always advise starting a low heat. And the reason for starting on the low heat is so you can give yourself time to absorb the image, build the muscle memory that you need. You know, so a lot of the first couple of days really is base layering and just getting a feel for the shapes and the contours and all that magical stuff that goes on in your brain as you create better and better pyrography art. So we'll make a start today at this horse. I'm going to use the Pinterest image as my reference picture. Now, one other little tip I will give you is you can see my board there, and you may be able to see the image laid out on it. When we're looking to transfer from a tablet to a larger piece of, say, you know, wood canvas, one little trick is don't leave the image at the smallest size, you know, the original size you've got on your tablet. Increase the size of the image on your tablet to try and match that of the horse you've transferred, if that makes sense, because otherwise all your proportions will be thrown out of sync. So zoom your image in on your tablet so you're at the same size as your piece of art. I'm using the medium space shader to begin with, and I'm going to turn my heat setting to setting 2. So I'm going to start very lightly, and we won't see a great amount of detail done today because, as I said, the first couple of days is all about getting the layering down, getting a feel for the piece of art that we're creating. So if we burn low and slow and just gradually take a time, we can capture a world of volume and depth and all that magical stuff. But it does come at a price of time. I've been itching to get started on this piece, but we've had a family emergency this week. My dad unfortunately had a stroke after having a stent operation in his leg last week, so he's still in hospital with quite a severe stroke, so we've had a lot going on. So this piece has obviously been delayed a little in getting started, but today's the weekend and I've been itching to make a start on it, so here we go. As you can see, when you're looking to capture more depth with your pyrography work, it's all about the depth of shading. You know, you don't want your piece of art to look flat. You want it to look like this horse has got some real body and volume to it. So there's ways of shading that we can achieve that. I mean, I'm just looking at the horse's back end at the minute because there's a lot of room for getting some great depth here. This is just really like sort of blocking in. You know, this is just a base layer. You know, it's going to have many more layers go over the top of it as we progress through the burn. This is just some of the background work that you need to put in. You'll see with the shapes and contours of your horse and how the light captures, like say on this back end of this particular horse. I will leave the reference photo up. At the very back there's a light a bit where the sun is capturing near the tail. There's another opportunity that we've got for capturing the depth. But horses are magnificent animals because they've just got so much muscle and bulk and shape to them that they are just the perfect animal for pyrography. If anyone ever suggested to me what is the best animal you could use as a pyrography subject, it would be the horse, because it just lends itself beautifully to pyrography art, because the colours of it are perfect for the colour we work in, which is sepia, however you want to pronounce it, depending on which country you live in. A piece like this, of this size, I will be looking at least a week if I get really involved in the piece, because like I said, I do like to burn low and slow and build my way into a piece of art that I'm trying to show. as you slowly build your way into it, all the time that you're looking back into it, that image, you're building a connection between your creative eye and the board in front of you. So it's not time wasted, is all this background layering. It's time much needed. As you're looking back into, you just start building a mental image of what it is that you're trying to show with your wood burn. And we're always striving for more depth and volume and detail. We don't want something that just looks flat. We want to actually show the curves of its body. We'll have to time lapse, unfortunately. Some, well, quite a lot of this horse's creation, because you don't want to sit through a whole week of me layering up this horse. And we'll dip in and out with key opportunities that I think we need for learning. You know, if there's something to stumble across that could be beneficial to you, and I will put, you know, hour slots in, half-hour slots in here and there. But to begin with, we're just very lightly blocking in. As we see here, where the neck goes up, I've got a little line in there. So already here, there is a change in like sort of depth. This top bit is sat further back than this part. This part is coming out of a larger muscle that's all coming around near this front leg. So we don't really want to go up there at the moment. Another good tip is always run with the direction of the fur. I think horses still, they call it fur, don't they? Don't know what you call it. Go with the direction that it's travelling in. Obviously, if you're trying to show a back, you wouldn't be pulling your strokes down, because you would then be showing like it's flat. So you want to like curve your strokes out and build your way out. But on the top of this horse's back, as we look at it, that is the flat part, isn't it? Because this is where the top of the body will go off into the distance, that we can't see the other side. We'll be using a range of pens as well on this wood burn. I'm just using the medium space shader at the minute because it's good for blocking in larger areas. Whatever pen is your favourite pen to use, you know, for what we call blocking in, then use that pen that you're most comfortable with. As we get further along and we get round the horse's face and stuff will need to go to smaller pen tips. So I'll be able to show you like the extra small space shader and some of the other tips that we can use for the tail, hair and everything. When we think about this back end to the horse, how it's going to curl around, so already at this stage we're thinking, you know, we've got to follow like a curve with a burn. Don't just burn straight down, try and follow the angles. So it stands to reason, doesn't it? If you're following the angle of the horse's body, it's not coming flat, it's arcing round. So when you're doing your base layering, try and follow that arc. What I'll do is I'll do a quick, say 20 minutes, half an hour more of this early blocking in, and then I will time lapse a lot of the blocking in process. And as your confidence grows with a piece, you could introduce higher heat. But always, like I say, when I'm starting out with any pyrography art piece, I always start out low and slow and give my brain that chance to absorb the image. Remember, with pyrography art, it's not it isn't a case of just crank the heat up and get to the shade you want to immediately. It should be called patienceography. It's all about building up layers of heat, many passes over the wood. The wood has properties where it absorbs the heat into it, and that's how you can build your depth and volume to your pieces of art. There's things like highlights of the sun that you can incorporate into the horse's fur, but another good reason why you start off with this low heat, if you started immediately, say on heat setting 3.5, 4, you'd be burning too dark to give yourself the opportunity to capture those highlight areas where the sun's casting, shining off the horse's hair or fur or body, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a horse rider, so I don't know the correct terminology. I think it's horsehair though, isn't it? But doing this will just give you a glimpse into like the background work that goes into some of these pieces of amazing pyrography art. You see, a lot of the artists will have spent, you know, a week, 2 weeks working on the piece, unless they're amazingly talented. This isn't the sort of project you're going to get done in a day. That's why sometimes it's good to have more than one project on the go, because after spending many days on one piece, your eyes can become tired to it, and your passion for the piece may start to wane a little. So that's when you can dip off to one of your other pieces, and if you have 3 or 4 on the go, you can alternate between your pieces of art, and then you never get those tired eyes. You know, you can dip in and out of each one. You know, most artists have got lots of pieces on the go. I'm sure most of you have got lots of pieces in your piles of pyrography in different stages. Every now and again you have a look through and think, oh, wouldn't mind picking that one back up today, and then you fall back in love with that for a few days. And so the process goes. And to add like volume and bulk to a piece of pyrography art, this layering process is one of the crucial elements to it. And it's not until like several days in that you all of a sudden see it pay dividends, and you see more shape and depth and all that magical stuff with detailed pyrography art. And so don't worry if you don't, at the end of the piece, if you don't come up with a lifelike horse. If you aim high and you reach it a little bit short, you've still got a good way up there in, you know, in the sky, and you've developed more skills. And the slogan of every hour of burning is an hour of learning really is true. You know, every hour you spend practicing pyrography will pay dividends months down the line. And I had no art background whatsoever. It was just from seeing Facebook posts of people's amazing pyrography art, and I just got bitten by the bug and thought, you know what, I want to create realistic pyrography art myself. So this mission started to look into how these amazing artists achieve them amazing results that they get. And anybody can do it. Doesn't matter if you've not been to art college or you haven't got an art background. That doesn't matter in the slightest. If you've got a passion for something, that's all you need. Passion will take you a long, long way. See, I've marked a little break point here because this is where we've got the horse's back leg and there's the belly coming round, and so there is different levels of the horse's body there, and here I've marked out where there is a step where there's sunlight getting to that area. So there's one of the immediate places where we can start showing the depth and shape of the animal. But at this stage I don't feel confident enough myself to start diving into that. You know, I stay away from the trickier areas as I start absorbing the image. Just work on the areas you're comfortable with. When you get to those areas where it gets a bit more tricky, you'll find they'll become easier as the piece of art sort of attaches itself to your creative eye. Remember, when we're creating pyrography, if we have a darker area sat next to a lighter area, it will give the perception to the onlooker that the darker area is further away than when it's sat next to a lighter piece of shading. And that's how we trick the onlooker to thinking that this is a 3D image. You know, it's not just a flat piece of wood. It's all about shading in the right direction and those different tonal values. And this is all just hind quarters at the minute, so this is by no means how dark it will be going. It's going a lot darker. And remember, another thing with when you're looking for your images for say, practice pieces of pyrography. You don't have to have everything exactly as the reference image. You've got your own artistic license to, you know, come up with your own creation. If you want to change any of the horse's colour, then you can do. These outlines are just guidelines. And we'll try and follow this horse as closely as possible. And see how well we can create a lifelike horse. At this stage, I'd like to thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Extremely grateful to everybody who's subscribed, and if you do share some of your valuable time with me, I really do appreciate it. I do try to pass on some of the things I've learned along my journey so far with pyrography. I like to try and teach people, I don't know necessarily whether it's the right way, but the way I do it, which is burning low and slow. And if you're looking to improve your skills to create lifelike pyrography art, then hopefully some of the things I show you will help you to progress your own journeys. I'm by no means a master pyrographer who sells art for thousands of pounds or hundreds of pounds or dollars. I'm just an enthusiast, a passionate pyrographer who just likes to share my journey with others. And if I can help set people off in the right direction, then that to me is a blessing, and I don't take any subscriber for granted. I'm very grateful to every single one of you, and hopefully together we can journey deeper into this magical art form of pyrography. Show it is far more than just crafting, as some of the art critics like to call it. If they see it's on a piece of wood, it's crafting. Well, it's not crafting when you're creating something that looks realistic. So one of my aims is to raise the profile of pyrography in the UK. A good friend of mine who helps me run the Facebook group, he said to me as well the other day, he said even when his own friends and family ask him, you know, what does he do to fill his days? And he says, I do pyrography. And they say, what's that? You know, people still haven't heard of pyrography. They don't know what it is. And one of my aims is to try and raise a profile of pyrography in the UK. I know out in the States, in Canada and stuff, it's well established. But here in the UK, we're a little bit behind really than the USA and Canada and the likes. We have some amazingly talented artists in the UK. It's just the general public at large. A lot of them don't know what pyrography is, and if we can change that, that'd be amazing. But as you can see, we haven't really, how long have we been going? 36 minutes, and we haven't really got much down yet. It's all just base layering. I've started on this area because it's the easiest to get started on. Just doing short strokes with, let's say, 3/4 tip of my pen, and just because a horse's hair, fur, whatever, is very short, isn't it? So it's just short strokes. And try and pull them strokes in the direction that the fur is running in. I'm going to have to find out the right terminology for horses, fur and hair. We're already here at the top transfer line. It's going to be one of the areas where we can show that there is more depth to this animal. Because this part here is part of his back folding over. And so if we think about it, it's got the hair, I'm going to call it hair for now, and the hair would be going slightly on an angled direction, wouldn't it? As it's curling around the body. So short strokes. So even with your base layering, try and get it all going in the direction that the hair's going in. It's got some wonderful tools for doing the tail and the mane. They're two of the favourite bits to do. And so we'll leave the image up for people. I'll leave it on the screen I'll leave it in the corner anyway, but I will leave it on the screen for a good 10 seconds, and if any of you want to print screen, get this horse image, transfer it off to your wood and work along with me, you're most welcome to. And I got this image off Shutterstock as part of my subscription. The only reason I like to use them is because you do not lose any detail. You can zoom in and really zoom into like the tiniest piece of hair, and you won't lose any detail whatsoever. The image quality is superb. Pixabay is equally as good, and I don't think you have to pay a subscription on Pixabay. I may be wrong, but I think they are royalty free images. Time we're coming up on 42 minutes. Luckily we haven't had to switch the board. As you know, I'm a big advocate of move your board if you need to get at a certain angle, like when we get down here and you want to work underneath the belly, you'll need to move your board around so you can get your strokes in the right direction. Luckily for this start, I haven't had to move the board. I bought a new selfie stick that hopefully will give us a better angle so my hand isn't in the way and you can get a better view of what I'm doing. Been searching all over the place trying to find the best way of trying to show the camera. And people in the UK will have heard of this shop, Lidl. He had these Bluetooth selfie sticks that were on tripods, and it was perfect. So all these other things I've been hunting for, and I've got selfie sticks sticking out the wall everywhere. Now I've got this one in a tripod that can sit above the artwork, and then because I'm a right-hander, I won't block your view. What time we're coming up on? 44 minutes. We'll give it 5 more minutes. As you can see, the first hours, well, it'll be the first several hours spent, we'll be just doing this, just layering up, getting a feel for the shape that I want to try and create. On low heat, and give yourself the opportunity to capture perfect moment when you've later on in the piece, when you find that perfect shade of colour. If you turn your heat too high, you often rush past that perfect moment. So just one tip you take away from today is turn your heat down, way down. Have some patience and really try and study the piece of art that you're working on. Just give it a go. If you fail this time to create a realistic piece of pyrography, then next time you'll be one step closer, and the time after that you'll be closer still, and you keep going like that, and eventually you master what it is that you set out to do, whatever your own goals are. And today I'd set myself a goal of creating as realistic artwork as possible, and that is my goal for myself. I still enjoy doing the odd fun burn bits of writing and cartoon style pyrography art, but I've got a passion for trying to create more and more realism. One of the magical things of it takes time and patience, but the satisfaction you will get once you've hit your goal will be immense. So shortly I'm going to switch over to time lapse as we keep building this foundation layer. And as the days progress through this piece of art, we'll see it take shape more and more. That's when the magic starts happening. For anyone interested in the Optima wood burner, if you visit www.carvertools.com, the guy who designs and creates all the pens is called Pat. He's a very helpful and very knowledgeable guy when it comes to pyrography equipment. And the Optima is, you know, it's professional quality pyrography equipment, but it's not ridiculously priced. It's affordable to all. And the great thing with Pat is he's an ethical seller. He won't sell you things that you don't need. So you can trust his word. If he says, no, I wouldn't waste your money buying that pen when you've got this pen, you know, he knows what he's talking about. So I'd maybe check him out if you're looking to upgrade your pyrography machines. and most importantly, have fun with your pyrography. There's so many therapeutic values, and I know the person who suffered depression myself, once I get lost into a piece of art, depression and mental health issues and stuff all just melt away. So it is a great therapy hobby. And also leave a link to the Facebook group that we've got going on, where we're running a monthly competition. For it doesn't matter what level of pyrography artist you're at, we run a monthly competition which is done by votes from all the members of the group, and the winner wins a prize and a couple of surprises. So I'll leave a link to the Facebook group if you're interested in joining that. We are a community of passionate pyrographers who are all really keen on pyrography. There's some great artists in there, and you're all welcome to join us. So we've made a start there on the back end today. I know it may not look like much, but this is the background work to layering up to build volume to a horse. So I'll switch over to time lapse in a moment and say thank you for sharing your valuable time with me today. As this burn progresses, it'll make more sense as to what I'm doing now with all this base layering. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's Saturday here in the UK. Excuse me. Have fun, and I will catch you when we get a little bit further. Well, I will definitely do a video once we get to start showing some of the real depth to the hindquarters and then the belly and everything. We'll catch up on the next video of that, but I'll just keep layering up this hindquarters and getting a feel for the piece, so I can start attacking it with a bit more confidence. So have fun, happy burning everyone, and I will speak to you all again very soon. Take care for now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave me a like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment, a question. Feel free to do that. And I will speak to you all again soon. Take care for now. Bye.